The old Texas is disappearing. We don't want to be like California. We like our guns. It's just that once you go down a road, you don't go back. That's how we see New York and California.
The wind blows hard for an election that is an existential clash between two versions of America and indeed Texas. And for cattle farmer Deborah Hyder, the issues are important enough for her to overlook the character flaws of the man that she's already voted for.
He's a powerful, I call him Yankee, New Yorker. He's brash. He's a pig. If he walked up, he's a pig. We call it a pig. Yeah. If he walked up to me and put his hand anywhere, he'd get knocked out. I mean, and that's the problem.
But why would you vote for a pig?
Because I'm not voting to date him.
Deborah has 5 sons, 6 horses and 80 cows.
Look at them running.
And her mission is to protect them all against the unwarranted intrusions of the state, from too much taxation to regulation. The preservation of her freedom and her prosperity, a struggle as old as this country, and in Texas, a struggle exemplified by the bitter debate over climate change.
I think the biggest myth about Republicans is that we don't want clean energy. That's not true. Let's do it where it makes sense and it just doesn't hurt people. And the middle America is where us is who they lose when the Democrats are, oh, it's fine to shut down the country. It's fine to pay $5 a gallon for diesel. It's not fine. That's our livelihood. It takes us down.
And you can even see it on the freeway to Houston. The clash between personal freedoms overtaking collective responsibility. The unresolved dichotomy at the heart of American democracy. And this election is its biggest stress test in generations, especially here.
Voter suppression here is live and well, and it particularly stems from our government. We've had Governor Abbott try to challenge mail-in drop-off boxes here in Houston, which is larger than 26 states. So voters only have one place to vote.
They have one place to vote?
They have one place to turn in their mail-in ballot, yes. The one place to turn their...
For how many millions of people?
For 4.7 million voters.
And you're saying that's intentional?
That is intentional. That is intentional. Are you ready to vote tonight?
Raven Douglas is fighting for her most fundamental right in this democracy, the right to vote, in a COVID-era drive-in event with live music.
We politicians always say it's the most important race. Hey, but you better believe it this time. Everything is on the line. Vote.
America has spent a century preaching democracy abroad while often suppressing the votes of minorities at home. But this time is different because Texas is different.
Houston is one of the most diverse cities in the country, and we know that COVID's been disproportionately impacting Black and brown communities. I also think that the murder of George Floyd, who is from Houston, has really kind of, especially in Texas, has had people really ready to turn out to vote and kind of turn their anger into action.
This election is a face-off between perceived dystopian nightmares. Both sides have been encouraged to think that if the other side wins, their world will end. That's what makes a tightly contested election so dangerous, because however crucial this vote, there will still be winners and losers. Well, I'm joined now from a polling station in northeast Houston by the Vice Chair of the Texas Democratic Party, Dr. Carla Braley. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Tell me, the polling station where you are at the moment is very quiet. I mean, have the Democrats become a victim of their own success in early voting here? Because perhaps not many people will show up on the actual main election day, which is November the 3rd.
Oh, I actually think that it's pretty active. The wonderful thing that you're seeing that's happening in Harris County, we have polls everywhere. So we have really made it where people can vote. Is more accessible. And so we're at just one poll. I can guarantee you that if you cross this county right now, you'll see, it's my understanding that we've crossed over a million and well over 120,000+ votes today alone. And this is just early day. So I truly believe that, during work hours, you're going to see that it's going to be a major increase today. Today, I think we're going to break even more records with voting.
Okay, because the Republicans keep telling us that their big day will actually be Election Day on November the 3rd. So are you worried about them coming out in huge numbers?
No, I think, you will find that there are some people who just tend to vote on Election Day. That is a major tradition for them. I think what you have seen, particularly in Harris County, that we wanted to make sure that any and everyone who wanted to vote, i.e. if you paid attention at all to Houston numbers last night, there were a number of people that voted in the 24-hour polling site last night, but I do not think that Democrats are just stopping as of today. I do think you'll see a substantial number of Democrats who will be out on E-Day. That is a very, very much a tradition in some families. You're going to see that some families will be voting today on Election Day.
All right, so we've talked about the historic numbers of people in early voting, partly because of the pandemic, partly because of the issues at stake here. We've also heard about the polls that actually give Joe Biden a fighting chance of winning this state. But that hasn't happened since 1976, since Jimmy Carter. So again, do you think there's a realistic chance you might actually capture Texas?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is an election that oftentimes people will ask, well, why do I have to vote? Like, how does this actually impact me as an individual? I think what you'll see, unfortunately, what we've all experienced in this 2020 pandemic across the world, that people know that leadership matters. In Texas alone, we've attempted to play politics with people's lives with COVID-19. And people understand that their voice is their vote right now, and their vote is their voice. And people are coming out in numbers to say that we have to make sure that we have the right leadership, because people's lives have even been changed as it relates to jobs, health care. These are things that we don't have to ask, what would you do? We know what leadership chose to do, not just on the national level, but also our governor right here in Texas. And so people are coming out. You see that Texas alone, when you look at the numbers for voters who are 30 and under, we've broken records there too. Texans are showing up, and they're saying no more. We want better leadership, and that is why all across age groups, you're seeing us show up. And so you're at one poll right now, but there are polls all over Houston and all over this state. And the numbers look very, very good for Texas Democrats.
Okay. Dr. Carla Braley, got to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. Now, in North Carolina, the race is also very close, and over 4 million people there have already cast their votes. It is a state that has voted for a Republican candidate in 9 out of the last 10 presidential elections. Donald Trump won it in 2016 by 4 points. It was the women of the state that helped carry the president to victory. And in just 4 days' time, they could once again be the deciding voters. Siobhan Kennedy is in the city of Raleigh for us. Siobhan, is the excitement there mounting in North Carolina? Tell us.
Well, Matt, I can tell you that Donald Trump is excited. He's coming here on Sunday and Monday, the final 2 days of campaigning, in a sign of just how important this state is to the president. The other reason it's critical is because officials have given an extra 9 days after the election for ballots to be counted that have been sent in by mail. So, in other words, if the end result is inconclusive, all eyes could be on North Carolina to decide the victor. And among the voters here, it's the women who are expected to have the biggest clout.
We're going to win the state of North Carolina, and we're going to win 4 more years in the White House.
What is it about him that you want 4 more years of?
Promises made, promises kept.
You know what makes America great? The people. And that is what he has rallied together.
I believe in the preservation of life. I believe our president honors that.
Who sometimes says some things that make me cringe, but we have a warrior that is fighting for our country.
Not only has he done what he said he would do, he actually has exceeded my expectations.
I never see any president love the country, love the people like him.
It was white college-educated women who, in part, helped hand Donald Trump the White House in 2016.
We've got work to do.
4 years on, and they may be the ones to take it away.
It is really dependent on the women's vote. I think the women and conservative women need to step up, and they're going to feel empowered more by this election than ever before.
She hopes, but with the virus still surging, many suburban women have turned their back on Donald Trump. And in the critical battleground state of North Carolina, it could make all the difference. The polls have Joe Biden just ahead in a tight race. But these Republican women believe sense will prevail.
We do not need to live in a spirit of fear. The president has tried to lead the country and offer a very optimistic view of our future. I think people will embrace that.
So how many Biden signs would you like?
I'll take 2.
Okay, here you go.
But over at the Democrats' HQ, they believe voters are embracing their candidate, Joe Biden. And early polling data shows the charge is being led by women.
I think the Democratic women have been very important. They have been turning out in high numbers, which is quite astonishing. We did not expect that necessarily. I think the female vote has been energized.
Not just women energized, they've also discovered a big influx of men and women who've moved here for high-tech jobs are more likely to be leaning the Democrats' way.
How important, then, is this county, Wake County, to North Carolina and to the election?
The decision in North Carolina between Trump and Biden will be made in this county. And with the turnout that we can produce, Donald Trump is counting on North Carolina as his path to win. And so if we can stop him here, I think we will have won the election.
Oh my. So they're going door to door with a list of those they know are yet to vote.
Right now, a lot of women are voting and volunteering and doing all the extra.
The first address there is 810 Grove Hollow.
Particularly in this ward where turnout for Hillary Clinton was low in 2016 and where many women, as across the country, decided to give Donald Trump a chance.
In 2016, they thought that he was going to be different, and now they see he's totally over his head, not just with the pandemic, but with so many other things. I've talked to at least 4 women who said they voted for him thinking he would grow into the job. They are voting for Biden.
We're excited about today. All right.
With the race neck and neck here, these women say they're not taking any chances.
Absolutely a lady for Trump. Come on, suburban women.
Trump 2020! I love him. Absolutely.
So it's out on the Trump train to honk the vote out.
All's good. Trump's in the White House. Let's keep him there for another 4 years. After that, Trump Jr. After that, Ivanka.
The president took this state by 4 points last time, and if he loses here next week, his path to victory would become significantly more difficult. These Republican women don't deny they've dared contemplate that reality.
How would you cope if Biden wins next week?
I can't say that we haven't been preparing a bit for a little bit of a rough ride. My freezers are full, the boxes are checked, the debts are paid.
You're preparing for chaos? Is that what that means?
Yes.
For the Democrats, it's chaos too, but of a more profound kind.
I believe personally that we will lose our democracy if we do not win. This is our very last chance to change the direction of our country.
2 camps painting 2 very different outcomes.
Suburban women, will you please like me?
Which one the majority of suburban women agree with will help determine Donald Trump's fate next week.